I never thought my own husband would stoop this low, but there he was, barging through my front door like he owned the place, suitcases thumping against the hardwood floor. "You don't deserve a family," Derek snarled, his eyes cold as steel, rain dripping from his coat onto my rug. "We'll take this house for ours, the real heirs." My heart slammed against my ribs, a metallic tang of fear flooding my mouth as lightning cracked outside, flickering through the windows like some twisted spotlight on his betrayal. 5 years of silence, and this I froze. But then my hand slipped to my phone, fingers dialing 911 without a word. The app's glow the only light in my shaking grip. If an ex has ever hit you with a blind side like that, twisting the knife when you're finally standing tall, drop a comment below with where you're watching from right now. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single beat of how I flipped this nightmare into my ultimate revenge story. You know, the kind that leaves you fist pumping at the screen. Hey, if you're new here, welcome to the crew. We're all about those raw, real tales of rising from the ashes, where the underdog doesn't just survive, but thrives. Subscribing means you'll get front row seats to stories like mine, heart-wrenching betrayals turned into epic wins, tips on spotting red flags before they wreck you, and a community that's got your back when life throws curveballs. Don't just watch, join us. Like this video if it hits home, and smash subscribe now. Trust me, it'll fuel your own comeback. Okay, deep breath. Let's rewind a bit so you get the full picture. I'm Emma, 35, a graphic novelist scraping by in Brooklyn's gritty art scene before everything went to hell. Picture this. It's a stormy night in my cozy Hudson Valley house, the one I poured my soul into after hitting rock bottom, the kind of place with creaky porches overlooking misty hills where I'd finally found piece-sketching panels for my latest book. Rain's pounding the roof like angry fists, and I'm curled up with a mug of tea, flipping through old therapy sketches, fractured family trees I'd drawn to make sense of the mess Derek left behind. Suddenly, the security app on my phone buzzes. Motion detected. My stomach drops as I pull up the feed. There he is, Derek, my ex-husband, fumbling with a key he shouldn't have, his face twisted in that smug determination I used to mistake for ambition. He's hauling boxes from his beat-up truck, parked crooked in my driveway like he belongs here. My mind races. How did he get that key? Why now? After ghosting me when I needed him most, I bolt to the door. But he's already inside, shaking off the rain, his voice dripping with entitlement. "Emma, this house, it's wasted on you. No kids. No real life, just your little drawings. I've got a family now, a kid who deserves this." His words slice deep, echoing the cold dismissal from years ago when he walked out, leaving me homeless and broken. Back then, he'd sneered about my unstable career, siphoning our savings for his tech flops while I hustled freelance gigs to keep us afloat. Now, bankrupt and desperate, he's circling back like a vulture, motivated by pure greed and that twisted belief he was always the practical one, entitled to everything I built without him. My breath catches, a wave of buried anger surging up. How dare he invade this sanctuary, the one Nana Rosalind left me as her final gift. I see it all flash, our shattered wedding photo I'd tossed, his hidden jealousy of my creativity bubbling under his charm. As sirens wail faintly in the distance, I stand there, phone clutched tight, realizing this isn't just a break-in. It's years of calculated lies unraveling, and I'm done being the victim. But oh man, you won't believe what I uncovered next, secrets that turned this betrayal into something way darker. To really understand how Derek could pull off something so twisted like breaking into my house after years of radio silence, you've got to go back to where it all started. It wasn't some explosive fight that kicked things off. Nah, it was this slow poison, the kind that creeps in and makes you question if you're the crazy one. Picture us in our tiny Manhattan loft, back when I was 25 and thought I'd hit the jackpot with this charming tech guy who swept me off my feet at a Brooklyn art show. The place was all exposed brick and string lights, with my sketchbooks piled on every surface and his laptop glowing like some beacon of success. We'd sip cheap wine on the fire escape, overlooking the buzzing streets below. And I'd think, this is it, my partner in crime. But looking back, the red flags were waving from day one, and I ignored them like a fool chasing that fairy tale ending. Derek was all charisma on the surface, tall, with that easy smile and stories about his startup dreams that made him sound like the next big thing in Silicon Alley. He'd talk up how we were a team, but underneath he was always chipping away at me, like I'd stay up late sketching panels for my first graphic novel, pouring my heart into these raw stories about overlooked women finding their voice, stuff inspired by my own childhood, where my parents doted on my brother Jake like he was the golden boy, leaving me to fend for myself with hand-me-downs and zero fanfare. Derek would peek over my shoulder and chuckle. "Babe, that's cute, but when are you gonna get a real job? This hobby won't pay the bills." Hobby. It stung every time, like he was dismissing the part of me that lit me up, all while I was busting my ass waitressing in Soho to cover our rent so he could focus on the app. God, the resentment started building then, this quiet simmer in my chest. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the city lights flickering through our window, feeling this gnawing self-doubt. Maybe he was right. Maybe my art was just a pipe dream, and I should suck it up, go corporate like him. But then Nana Rosalind would call my grandma, this fierce old journalist who'd raised my mom solo after Grandpa passed young. She'd escaped a bad marriage herself in the 70s, typing exposés on women's rights from her cluttered attic in Queens, stacks of yellowed journals and her ancient typewriter as her weapons. "Emma, honey," she'd say in that gravelly voice, smoked from years of late-night deadlines. "Don't let him dim your spark. Men like that, they see your light and want to snuff it 'cause it blinds their ego." She'd send me letters, actual handwritten ones, tucked with clippings from her old articles warning about controlling vibes without ever naming Derek. One read, "Watch the money, kiddo. Power starts there." I brushed it off as her being overprotective. But damn, if I'd listened. Things got real toxic around our second anniversary. We were in the loft, celebrating with takeout Thai because that's all we could afford my tips and his sporadic freelance coding gigs. I'd just landed my first small book deal, an indie publisher excited about my graphic series on family secrets. I was buzzing, sketching out ideas on napkins, the spicy scent of Pad CU filling the air as city sirens wailed below. Derek. He barely looked up from his phone. "Congrats." He muttered, but his tone was flat, like he was humoring a kid. Then he dropped it. "But let's be real, how much is that paying? My new startup pitch could land us 6 figures if I nail this investor meet." Turns out, he'd been diverting our joint savings money I'd scraped from double shifts into his ventures. I found a lost bank statement crumpled in his jacket pocket one night, showing transfers to some shady account. When I confronted him, heart pounding in the dim glow of our bedside lamp, he just shrugged. "It's an investment in us, babe. Your little drawings won't cut it long term." Little drawings that cut deep, making me feel small, like I was back in my parents' house watching Jake get the new bike while I got lectures on being practical. His motivations were crystal clear now, looking back, pure entitlement, wrapped in that American dream hustle culture BS. Derek grew up middle class in Jersey, always chasing the next big score, jealous of anyone stealing his spotlight. He saw my creativity as a threat, something unstable that might drag him down. So he undermined it subtly, favoring his own schemes. Those business trips to conferences, yeah. Hints of affairs started popping up, late-night texts he'd delete. A woman's earring I found under the couch that he blamed on a client. I'd feel this pit in my stomach, lying there alone in our bed, the city's hum mocking my loneliness. But I'd push it down, thinking, "We're building something. I can fix this." Nana saw through it, During our typewriter sessions in her attic, sun streaming through dusty windows, her fingers flying over keys as she coached me on storytelling, she'd say, "Secrets fester. Emma, dig 'em up before they bury you." Yeah, she'd even emailed me once, attaching an old article on financial abuse in marriages, but I dismissed it as her paranoia. Forged? No way. I thought Derek wouldn't stoop that low. Or would he? The toxicity mirrored my childhood so perfectly it hurts to admit. Growing up in a cramped Queens apartment, my parents poured everything into Jake the sports camps, the college fund, while I got, "Figure it out, Emma, life's not fair." I'd sketch in my room, escaping into worlds where underdogs won, but their favoritism left scars, this deep-seated doubt that I wasn't enough. Derek latched onto that, his coldness a mirror of their indifference. One night, after a blowout over my book deal, he accused me of wasting time while he built our future. I sat on the fire escape, cool night air biting my skin, tears blurring the neon signs below. Why do I let this slide? I whispered to myself, the resentment boiling over into quiet resolve. Nana's letters became my lifeline, her words planting seeds. "You deserve better, kid. Build your own empire." Ever ignored red flags in a relationship, thinking it'd get better? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I bet a ton of us have, and sharing might help someone spot theirs early. As the months dragged on, the loft felt less like home and more like a cage. Derek's startups kept flopping, but he'd blame the economy, never his reckless bets. I'd come home from gigs, feet aching, to find him glued to his screen, ignoring the stack of bills. His cold shoulder turned to outright dismissal. "Your art's fine, but it's not gonna save us." Inside, I was crumbling self-doubt, whispering I was the problem, not talented enough, not practical like him. But Nana's subtle warnings echoed louder, her attic sessions fueling my fire. I'd type drafts on her old machine, the clack-clack rhythm a rebellion, sketching Derek as this shadowy villain in my panels without realizing it yet. Little did I know, those forged emails Nana mentioned, they were just the tip. Derek had been whispering in her ear during concerned visits, planting doubts about my instability to sway her will. But she was too sharp, hiding clues in her journals for me to find later. That slow build of poison. It set the stage for the ultimate betrayal, turning our marriage into a ticking bomb. And when it exploded, man, that's when the real darkness hit. As the resentment kept bubbling under the surface, I threw myself into making our life work, like so many of us do when we're clinging to that happily ever after illusion. You know how it is convincing yourself that if you just hustle harder, sacrifice a little more, it'll all click. That's where I was, grinding through the tail end of that brutal publishing recession around 2020 when gigs dried up faster than you could hit refresh on Upwork. I'd wake up at dawn in our Manhattan loft, the early light filtering through grimy windows onto my cluttered desk, surrounded by half-finished sketches and empty coffee mugs. Derek would still be snoring in the bedroom, oblivious, while I'd fire up my laptop and chase freelance jobs, anything from logo designs for startups to illustrating kids' books that paid peanuts, all to keep the lights on, because his next big app kept sucking up our cash like a black hole. Man, the exhaustion hit like a truck. I'd pull all-nighters in dimly lit Brooklyn cafes, the kind with sticky tables and the constant hum of espresso machines. My eyes burning from staring at screens as I tweaked panels for clients who ghosted half the time. Migraines became my constant companion, sharp throbs behind my eyes that made the world blur, forcing me to pop Advil like candy just to push through. This is for us, I'd tell myself, slumped over my keyboard under those harsh fluorescent lights. The city noise a distant roar outside. Deep down, though, it felt like I was the only one rowing the boat. Derek's startups. One flop after another, some dating app knockoff that tanked, then a crypto thing that evaporated with the market crash. He'd come home late, reeking of bar smoke from networking, and I'd bite my tongue, thinking, he's trying. Right, we're a team. But his secrecy ramped up phone always face down, quick to snap if I asked about the bills piling up on the counter. His motivations crystal clear in hindsight, pure self-preservation, laced with that cold entitlement guys like him hide behind ambition. He saw me as the safety net, the one who'd pick up the slack while he chased glory. Those business trips to conferences in Austin or Chicago, they'd stretch from days to a week, leaving me alone in the loft with echoing silence and takeout containers. I'd pace the creaky floors, heart twisting with doubt, wondering if it was just work or something more. Hints piled up a lipstick stain on a collar he blamed on spilled coffee, late-night calls he'd step outside for, whispering like I wasn't right there. I'd feel this frustration knot in my gut, lying in bed staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, thinking, am I paranoid? Or is he pulling away? Therapy started then once a week in a cramped office in the village, where I'd sketch chaotic mind maps on the therapist's notepad, fractured lines representing our crumbling us. Why do I endure this? I'd vent, tears blurring my drawings. The sketches revealed cracks Derek as a shadowy figure looming over my art, his hand reaching for my wallet. One night stands out, vivid as a bad dream, the fake remorse call that almost reeled me back in. We'd fought earlier over money. I'd found another lost transfer slip in his drawer. $500 gone to some undefined investment. The loft was tense, rain slapping the windows like accusations, our voices echoing off the brick walls. It's for our future, M, he yelled, his face flushed. But his eyes darted away, classic Derek, dodging blame. I stormed out, wandering soggy streets, frustration boiling into hot tears mixing with a downpour. Hours later, my phone buzzed in a quiet diner, steam rising from my coffee as neon signs flickered outside. It was him, voice all soft and apologetic. Babe, I'm sorry. Work's killing me. Let's make this right. Come home. For a second, I melted, that brewing defiance flickering out. I wanted to believe it was just stress, not malice. The recession hitting his ego hard, making him lash out. So I went back, curling into his arms on our sagging couch, whispering promises we'd fix it. But inside a quiet voice, echoing Nana's warnings, whispered, this is a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Have you ever poured everything into a relationship, only to feel like you're the only one bleeding? It's that raw spot so many of us hit me up in the comments if you've been there. Sharing might make us all feel less alone. The escalation kept coming, little cuts turning into gashes. My gigs slowed to a trickle, publishers slashing budgets, clients vanishing amid layoffs. I'd drag myself home after 12-hour days, body aching, to find Derek vanished again on another trip. The loft felt emptier each time, our joint account dipping lower as his expenses mounted. I'd sit at the kitchen table under the harsh bulb, bills spread like a bad hand of cards, frustration morphing into this deep, weary defiance. Why am I funding his failures? I'd think, sketching angry caricatures of him as a puppet master, strings tied to my wallet. Therapy helped unearth it, those wall sketches turning from chaos to clarity, showing me as the hero breaking free. A supportive artist friend, Mia, planted more doubt over brunches in sunny cafes. Girl, he's using you. Your talent's the real gold, don't let him dim it. Her words stuck, fueling that shift from victim to survivor, even as migraines pinned me to the bed, world spinning. By then, we were teetering on eviction rent notices slapped on the door, red ink glaring like warnings. Derek's coldness peaked. He'd brush off my pleas with, handle it, I've got a lead. His vanishing acts grew bolder, motivated by that hidden life I suspected but couldn't prove. I'd lie awake, the city's pulse mocking my isolation, exhaustion breeding this quiet rebellion. I deserve better. One rainy afternoon, as an eviction warning crinkled in my hand outside our building, puddles reflecting the gray sky, I felt it snap. No more enduring for an illusory family. But one discovery would shatter it all, pushing me to the edge where survival meant letting go. Little did I know, those trips were cover for something darker affairs, sure, but also whispers to Nana, forging doubts to claim what wasn't his. The grind was wearing me thin, but it was forging steel inside, ready for the explosion ahead. That eviction warning was the final straw, staring back at me like a slap in the face from the universe, red ink screaming, "Get out," on that soggy paper outside our building. I remember standing there in the rain, puddles pooling around my sneakers, feeling like the ground was swallowing me whole. No more, I muttered to myself, that quiet rebellion from therapy sessions finally roaring to life. But man, pushing through exhaustion is one thing, facing the full betrayal, that's when everything shattered, like a cheap glass under too much pressure. It all came crashing down one humid August evening, the kind where New York's air sticks to your skin like regret. I'd just lost my last freelance gig, a publisher pulling the plug mid-project amid budget cuts, and our joint account was bone dry. Thanks to Derek's endless investments, I dragged myself back to the loft, body aching from another fruitless day pounding pavement for jobs, the elevator's ding echoing my defeat. The place smelled like stale takeout and tension, boxes half-packed because we were weeks from being tossed out. Derek was there, unusually home early, lounging on the couch with his phone, the blue glow casting shadows on his face like some villain in one of my sketches. I didn't ease into it. I couldn't. "We need to talk," I said, dropping the eviction notice on the coffee table with a thud, my voice cracking under the weight. He glanced up, eyebrows raised like I was interrupting his scroll. "What's this?" he asked, but his tone was casual, detached, like it was my problem alone. I poured it out: the lost jobs, the empty bank, how I'd been carrying us both while he vanished on those trips. My heart hammered, tears pricking my eyes as I begged, "Derek, please, we're in this together. Help me figure this out." Inside, I was a mess, desperation clawing at my chest, that old self-doubt whispering I wasn't worth saving. But I clung to hope, picturing us as that young couple on the fire escape, dreaming big, his reaction ice cold. He set his phone down slowly, leaning forward with this smirk that still haunts me, smug, like he'd been waiting for this. "Emma, this is what happens when you chase fantasies," he said, voice flat as pavement. "Your art, it's cute, but it's dragged us down. I've been propping you up, and for what?" My stomach twisted. Propping me up, I'd funded his flops. But he kept going, standing now, pacing the room like he owned the narrative. "I warned you, get a real job. Now look at us, homeless because of your passion." The words hit like punches, fueling my rage. But then he dropped the bomb. "And honestly, you don't deserve a family. Not like this. I've got someone who gets it, a real partner. She's pregnant." My kid deserves better than this mess. Pregnant. The room spun, the loft's brick walls closing in as thunder rumbled outside, mirroring the storm in my head. Affair A kid. It all clicked those trips. The deleted texts, the earring. His entitlement shone through, jealous of my talent all along, seeing it as competition, not compliment. He'd built this hidden life, motivated by ego and escape, cold enough to abandon me now that I was dragging him down. I saw red-packed bags flying as I screamed, "Get out after everything I've sacrificed." He just shrugged, grabbing his jacket with that smirk, like my pain was an inconvenience. "You'll figure it out. Always the survivor." The door slammed, leaving me in silence broken only by my sobs, collapsing onto the floor amid scattered sketches, feeling utterly devastated like my world had been yanked away. From his side, I pieced it later through therapy digs and mutual friends' whispers. Derek felt trapped, resenting my unstable creativity while his startups bombed. Jealousy festered. He'd rant to buddies about how my sketches stole our time. But really, he envied the spark he lacked, building that secret family pure selfishness, a fresh start without the burden of me. His cold exit calculated, leaving me to crash so he could swoop later. Homeless hit fast. The landlord changed the locks days later, my stuff crammed into a beat-up van. Mia loaned me sketchbooks, clothes, Nana's old typewriter rattling in the back like ghosts. I parked in shadowy alleys off Times Square, the neon chaos mocking my solitude, curling up in the driver's seat under a thin blanket as horns blared and pedestrians rushed by. Breakdowns came nightly, sobs racking my body under flickering streetlights, rain pattering the roof like tears. "How did I end up here?" I'd whisper, feeling the raw ache of abandonment, self-worth in shreds. Was I really that undeserving? The van's cramped space amplified it, cold metal pressing my skin, the stink of fast food wrappers my only company. I'd sketch in my lap by phone light, broken chains symbolizing the marriage I'd clung to, raw anger starting to flicker through the devastation. One night, under those harsh lights, I hit peak emotional hell, curled fetal, tears soaking my sleeve, replaying Derek's words like a loop. "You don't deserve." It cracked something open, devastation birthing awakening, that raw anger fueling a spark. Screw that, I thought, wiping my face. I wasn't the problem, he was. But as I drifted off, exhausted and alone, my phone buzzed a voicemail from Nana's neighbor. "Emma, it's urgent. Your grandma. She's gone." Inheritance. The call mentioned a letter waiting, cryptic words about secrets buried for you. My heart lurched, loss piling on betrayal, but a glimmer. Maybe this was my lifeline. Have you ever hit that rock bottom where everything breaks, but something inside clicks? It's brutal, but it's where real change starts. Share if you've been there. It might spark hope for someone watching. As I hit rock bottom, an unexpected inheritance changed everything, pulling me from the abyss toward truths darker than I imagined. The neighbor's voice cracked over the line, detailing Nana's sudden passing, a heart thing, peaceful but quick. I drove to Queens in a daze, the van sputtering through traffic, arriving at her attic stuffed with journals and that typewriter gleaming under dust-moted sunbeams. The letter waited on her desk, her handwriting shaky. "Emma, the house in Hudson is yours, but watch for wolves in sheep's clothing. Check the hidden drawer." Cryptic. Yeah, but it stirred something. Nana's final nudge, her video message on an old USB glitching as I played it. "Dig deep, kiddo." He tried to twist things, but I saw through. My mind raced to Derek's concerned visits. The inheritance papers confirmed the Valley house, her sanctuary overlooking misty hills. Now mine, a fresh start amid the wreckage. But that warning, it planted dread, awakening a fire to rebuild. Devastation still gripped me, tears flowing as I packed her things. But anger sharpened it. I'd rise, expose whatever shadows lurked. Little did I know, Derek's betrayal ran deeper, setting up the storm to come. That inheritance from Nana pulled me from the brink, but it came loaded with shadows I wasn't ready to face. 5 years on, I transformed that Hudson Valley house into my haven, a cozy Victorian on misty hills, with sun-dappled studios where my graphic novels came alive. Mornings meant coffee on the porch, watching fog roll off the river like fading nightmares. Evenings, sketching under garden lights, turning pain into panels that resonated with readers. My debut book, raw sketches of betrayal inspired by those van nights, blew up on Book Talk, fans DMing how it mirrored their toxic splits. Royalties let me host workshops for artists healing from family BS, the house alive with chatter and creativity. Trust was still shaky, I dated sparingly, scars from Derek making me wary. But life felt mine. Doubts quieting in therapy where sketches shifted from chaos to strength. Then, the crisis hit like a gut punch. A foggy autumn evening, me at a NYC signing, phone buzzing with fan love under store lights. Security alert motion detected. Footage showed Derek's truck, him prying the lock, boxes in tow, heart pounding in the back room's harsh glow. I bolted home roads twisting through rain, mind racing, why now pulling up? The house loomed eerie, windows flickering, bursting in, door creaking. I found him rearranging my living room like it was his. "Derek, get out!" I yelled, rain dripping from me onto the floorboards. He turned. Smirk faded, but desperate lines from his failures etching his face. "This house is for family. My son needs it no more wasting on your solo act." "Son." The air thickened. He paced, spilling bankrupt, foreclosed. His hidden heir from the affair, a lever to claim inheritance. "Nana wanted a real legacy," I visited. "Convinced her you're unstable." Shock froze me. Visited, his motives clicked. Not greed alone, but sabotage. Jealousy of my rise fueling cold calculation. He'd whispered lies to Nana, forging emails to sway her will, seeing the house as his escape hatch. Tension spiked as he grabbed my arm. "You owe us," I yanked free, dialing Mrs. Hale, my neighbor, a tough retiree with garden wisdom who knocked urgently, flashlight cutting fog. "Emma." Saw the light's trouble. Derek balked, bluff cracking under her steady gaze. We herded him out as I called my lawyer, a sharp family law whiz from Mia's network. Porch standoff in sheeting rain, his rants echoing, "This ain't over." But desperation showed his cold facade splintering. Safe inside. I stormed the attic cobwebs veiling stacks, moonlight on Nana's desk. Hidden drawer popped, journals tumbling, pages flipping under my flashlight like revelations. Entries detailed Derek's concerned visits, him planting doubts. Attached forged emails from me, ranting instability. Shock deepened he'd schemed to twist her against me. But Nana noted, "Wolf evidence for Emma." DNA envelope sealed the multi-twist kit from a visit. Results hinting paternity fraud. Tearing it open. Truth hit. Not his kid. Affair partners from before, but he'd claimed him for the con, using the boy as emotional blackmail. Empowerment surged, tension exploding into strategy. He thought he'd bury me, I thought. Tears mixing with fire. Journal clutched in dusty glow. Downstairs. Mrs. Hale brewed tea in the warm kitchen. Her presence a anchor. Lawyer on speaker, fraud. Emma premeditated. "We'll crush this." Allies rallied Mia via Zoom. Neighbor texts lighting my phone. I replayed invasion footage on laptop. Shadows dancing on walls. Derek's figure exposed. For the kid heart-wrenching, but his pawn play unforgivable. Would you forgive using a kid in a twist like this? It's that gut check stuff sharing comments if it's hit home. Court loomed bombshell with the heir wide-eyed on the stand. Mom's testimony cracking Derek's lies. Journal excerpts projected. Emails glaring on screen. His face crumpled defeat from desperation. Empowerment wasn't revenge. It was reclaiming my story, turning his chaos to my control. As fog lifted outside, doubts dissolved, ready to confront and heal. That courtroom showdown was the powder keg I'd been building toward. The place where all the tension from Derek's invasion and Nana's secrets finally ignited. Walking into that Albany courthouse a week later felt like stepping into a pressure cooker, stale air, thick with nerves, wooden benches creaking under fidgeting witnesses, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees. I sat there in a simple black dress, heart thumping as the gavel slammed down, echoing off the paneled walls. Derek was across the aisle, looking smaller than I remembered, slumped in a rumpled suit, his lawyer whispering frantically. The heir, little Tommy, fidgeted next to his mom, a wide-eyed kid of about 4 with no clue he was a pawn in this mess. His mom's testimony came first, her voice trembling under the harsh spotlights as she admitted, Derek pushed the inheritance claim, said it'd secure a home for Tommy, but the DNA, it's not his. The envelope rippled through the room like a shock wave, projected on a screen for all to see, not Derek's kid. just a lie to manipulate. When it was my turn, fiery testimony poured out me on the stand, gripping the rail, voice steady despite the knot in my throat. He broke in, claimed my grandmother's house for a family he faked, I said. Journals and emails displayed like evidence in a crime show, pages flipping on the projector with damning highlights. Derek's face crumpled, that cold facade cracking, eyes darting, sweat beading as charges piled up: trespassing, fraud, forgery. His motivations laid bare in cross-exam jealousy from day one, seeing my art as a threat, whispering lies to Nana during those visits to cut me out. I did it for stability, he muttered when questioned, voice low and defensive, but his partial remorse surfaced, glancing at Tommy with real regret, admitting, I got desperate. The kid deserved better, even if he's not mine. It humanized him a bit, that flicker of shame from his ego-driven spiral, but it didn't erase the cold calculation using a child as leverage, abandoning me homeless while building his web of deceit. The confrontation peaked when the judge allowed us sidebar us in a side room, tension thick as fog, under dim bulbs casting long shadows. Why? Derek, I demanded, voice breaking for the first time. He met my eyes, remorse flickering. I envied you, am your spark, while I failed. Thought twisting Nana would fix it. His admission stirred a whirlwind inside me, anger clashing with pity, relief washing over as I set boundaries firm. We're done. No contact, no more poison. Cutting ties felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years, relief flooding in as the door shut behind him. The gavel slammed final probation for him, restraining order for me, house secure, walking out into crisp fall air, leaves crunching underfoot. That psychological milestone hit confrontation, bringing cathartic relief, like shedding dead weight. Recovery kicked in slow but steady, starting with that bittersweet meeting with Tommy and his mom a month later. We met at a neutral park by the Hudson, benches overlooking choppy waters under overcast skies. Tommy played with sticks, innocent giggles cutting the awkwardness. While his mom apologized tearfully, Derek dragged us in. I see now how he used the kid. Bittersweet ache tugged at me, empathy for her as another victim, but resolve to mentor Tommy from afar, sending art supplies without strings. It fostered reconstruction, turning pain into purpose. Community rallied hard, fellow artists from workshops, turning the house into a healing hub. Picture group circles in the sunlit parlor, mismatched chairs around a coffee table littered with sketch pads, laughter echoing as we shared stories of toxic ties. You're not alone, Mia said during one, her hug warm amid candle flicker. Therapy deepened it, burning old photos by the river at dusk, flames leaping as Derek's smirking face curled to ash, smoke rising like released burdens. Relief bloomed, emotional scars fading, self-worth rebuilding brick by brick. I even penned a boundary-setting letter to Derek, sealed in the garden under blooming vines. Words flowing, your remorse doesn't erase the hurt. Stay away, I'm building without you. Mailing it felt final, relief settling like sunset glow. In the next video, see how I turned this pain into purpose, transforming betrayal into something bigger. Have you set boundaries with a toxic ex and felt that rush of relief? It's game-changing. Share your wins in the comments. Might inspire someone scrolling through a tough night. Those early recovery steps. They were messy nights, doubting if I'd overreacted. But community lifted me. Workshops buzzed with energy. Artists painting over old wounds in the attic. Sunlight streaming through stained glass. One evening, group healing circle by the fire pit, stars twinkling overhead. Stories flowing like wine cemented it. Chosen family over blood or vows. Relief fostered growth, turning confrontation's raw edge into a foundation. I sketched it all, empowered figures rising from ashes, feeling whole for the first time. As leaves turned, so did I house a beacon. Scars, stories now, but full triumph that came with embracing the mess. Mentoring others like Tommy, proving undeserving was his lie, not my truth. That courtroom victory wasn't the end. It was the spark that lit the fire for real change, turning relief into something bigger, like finally breathing after being underwater too long. Walking out of there, leaves crunching under my boots in the crisp Albany air. I felt this deep satisfaction settle in, warm as a hug from someone who gets it. Derek's probation and the restraining order. They were just paper. Real win was reclaiming my story, proving to myself that his lies about me being undeserving were his poison, not my truth. Back home in the Hudson house, sunlight filtering through lace curtains onto my sketch-strewn desk, I sat with a cup of tea, staring at Nana's journals. "You did it, kiddo," I imagined her saying, her gravelly voice echoing in my head. Satisfaction bloomed from knowing I'd honored her, turning her warnings into weapons, exposing Derek's cold schemes without letting them define me. Reflecting on it all hit hard over the next months, like piecing together a puzzle you'd rather forget. Derek's motivations rooted in that classic American hustle gone wrong, chasing success at any cost, his jealousy festering because my art thrived where his startups bombed. He'd whisper lies to Nana, forge those emails, all to cut me out and grab what he saw as an easy fix for his failures. But his partial remorse in court, it showed the human side desperation from a guy who'd lost everything, using Tommy as a shield because admitting defeat hurt too much. I didn't hate him anymore, pity mixed with the anger, making me think deeper about red flags we'd all ignore. Like how many of us spot the secrecy, the subtle digs, and brush them off as stress therapy dug into that sessions in a cozy office overlooking the valley, where I'd sketch timelines of our marriage, circling those moments, the lost bank slips, the business trips, the cold dismissals. Self-respect starts with seeing the patterns, my therapist said. And damn if that didn't stick. It made me reflect on toxic ties, not just marriages, but any bond where love's conditional, chosen family. That's the real gold, people who show up without strings, unlike blood or vows that can turn venomous. Growth came in waves, starting small but building to this serene peace I never thought possible. My novel exploded, a bestseller born from those van sketches, panels of fractured hearts mending into fierce warriors. Book tours buzzed with energy, crowded indie shops in Brooklyn, fans lining up under string lights, sharing their own betrayals. "Your story saved me," one woman whispered, tears in her eyes as I signed her copy. Satisfaction deepened there, turning personal hell into hope for others. Then came love. Real this time, Alex, a fellow artist from workshops, with kind eyes and a laugh that lit rooms. We met over shared sketches in the garden, blooms nodding under summer sun, bonding over toxic ex-tales. Our wedding simple, in the house's backyard, string lights twinkling at dusk, chosen family toasting with cheap wine, river murmuring below like approval. "You deserve this," Alex whispered during our first dance, fireflies dancing around us. Hopeful inspiration swelled, proving life after betrayal isn't survival, it's thriving, building bonds that heal. Mentoring became my purpose, starting with Tommy. We connected slowly, park playdates turning to art sessions in my studio, paint splattering under sunny windows as he giggled over messy drawings. "You're like a cool aunt," he said once, innocent grin melting my heart. His mom. We forged an unlikely alliance, her regret genuine from being dragged into Derek's web. No strings I mentored without claiming, turning his pawn status into something positive. Expanded it to a program, free retreats for creatives escaping toxic families. The house alive with group therapy circles in the parlor, mismatched chairs around flickering candles, stories flowing like therapy. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors to better. I'd share, satisfaction in seeing eyes light up. One evening, garden reflection with Alex, stars twinkling overhead. River's gentle rush below, I sketched our empowered selves, peace washing over like a warm blanket. From undeserving to unbreakable, I thought. Scars now, badges. Lessons stuck. Self-respect means spotting red flags, early secrecy, control, conditional love, and choosing bonds that uplift. Toxic doesn't define you. It's a chapter, not the book. In America, where hustle often hides hurt, it's okay to rewrite your story. Build chosen families over forced ones. Hope forward. My next book on resilience, with proceeds funding more retreats. Serene peace came from that knowing I'd turned betrayal into legacy. Have you turned a twist like this into your own win mentoring or rebuilding? It's inspiring. Drop it in the comments. Wrapping this up. If my journey from rock bottom to rising strong hit you, those raw betrayals flipped into epic triumphs, smash that like button to show the algorithm we're all about real resilience. Comment your survival tales below. Sharing builds our community, helping someone else spot their red flags early. And hey, subscribe now, hit that button and bell so you never miss a story. You'll get raw, life-changing tales of underdogs winning, tips on boundaries and healing, plus a crew that's got your back through the mess. Don't just watch, join the fight. Subscribe today and let's turn pain into power together. Thanks for sticking with me. You're the real MVPs.